46 years after the Equal Pay Act was passed, women still get paid less than men, but that's going to change. The World Economic Forum think it's going to take till sometime in the 22nd century, but I think it's going to happen much quicker. Most importantly, because the government, under pressure from the Women's Equality Party founded in 2015, has brought out a law which says that companies of 250 employees or more need to show and publish details of the gender pay gap. So they're hoping to close the gap within a generation, which means by 2041, I think by early 2040s, there will be gender pay parity. Women have been shockingly underrepresented in business, in government and in the media. And that is changing, it's happening quite quickly. The 30% club in the city is changing the makeup of boards. So a few years ago it was 12%, now it's 26%. And by 2020 it's going to be 33% of boards for the FTSE 100 are going to be women. BBC is also getting involved here. The BBC is going to have 50% of their leaders and people on air will be women by 2020. We're going to see a far more female future. Until quite recently, men were driving the design and creation of products, and this has led to some real problems. The great example of this is crash test dummies. So they were designed by men. Until 2011, they were designed by men and they were in the form of a man. And the problem with that was, in the event of a crash, a woman was 47% more likely to be injured. Fortunately, smart companies like Apple, Etsy, Slack are bringing women into the design and creation process, much earlier, but as the whole part of the process, and that's creating better products, better services for men, for women, for all of us. Historically, there were just two genders, male or female. But I think as the world is changing, as we get more choice generally, people are changing their definitions about who they are. In the future, we'll see pangender, polygender, agender. We're going to see more genders. It's really exciting. And already companies are responding to this. Tinder is going to be offering people the choice of saying they're male, female, and some other genders quite soon in the future. Facebook now has gender-neutral emojis. So I'm looking forward to a future with far more genders. For the past 100 years, a lot of the conversation about equality has revolved around gender, about women getting their rights against men. But that's changing, and it's changing quite quickly for a couple of different reasons. One in particular is gender fluidity, the idea that, just gender's not so important to people because they're switching from one gender to another. And then there's intersectionality, the idea that actually, rather than worry about one against another, one particular issue, there are lots of different issues that come together, which could be class, it could be race, it could be able-bodied or not able-bodied, it could be homophobia. So we're moving in a time beyond where the conversation was about equality between men and women to a question of equality generally. We all have inbuilt biases, and we still have them. And even though we know we have them, we still make decisions based on those biases. So smart companies like Facebook are bringing in bias training so that people make better decisions, less biased decisions. And the result of that is really positive because we'll end up with much more diverse, productive, functional, better workforces and more successful businesses. If you think about the journey from total inequality to total equality, I think we're at the beginning of that journey. We really are. So we've gone from really unequal to a situation where we can say, we have 26% of people on boards in the FTSE 100 are women. Once we go past that and we get to the 33%, I think we're going to head towards the 50-50 idea. That's the ideal. And if you think about what that means, it's not just going to be gender representation at work, it's going to be in our lives as well. So we'll move to a time of real, what I think of as 50-50 futures, where men and women and people are sharers in what they do. The current debate, the current conversation about equality is very much drawn in terms of pay, about representation in business, about choices that a person can make. And I think that as we move from materialism to experientialism, where we look for happiness and identity and status and experiences rather than stuff, what's going to matter is quality of life. And then the next equality debate will be about who's got the best quality of life. There are a lot of people who see the feminist movement, the movement of women from a place of real inequality to equality, as a win-lose game. Particularly, I think there are a lot of men that feel that way, that if women win, men will lose. And I think that, of course, that's nonsense. If women do better, it's better for all of us, it's better for men. But I think there'll be a movement to bring along those other men that feel threatened by it, that feel that it is a win-lose game. I think of the movement as masculism, this idea that shows those other men that equality is good for all of us. Anybody who thinks that 5 days on and 2 days off and 4 weeks holiday a year is the pinnacle of human achievement is nuts. I mean, it's not. It's, evolution of who we are as people, evolution of our culture. We're always striving for better. And I think that's what we're going to see happening in the 21st century. We're going to see us evolving our culture, and we're going to change as people. We're going to see the emergence of transhumans, people who live much, much longer lives. And in that time, they're going to have time to change who they are and what they do. They're not just going to have one job, work at it for life. They're going to do something for some time and something else for another time. In the future, we're going to break today's norms. We'll create new norms that are much better. We'll be living 50-50 lives. We'll be sharing the responsibility. We'll be part-time caregivers and part-time entrepreneurial breadwinners.